Greetings, adventurers, and well met. Master of Dungeons here on the Master of Dungeons Twitch channel, twitch.tv/the Master of Dungeons. It is Wednesday, which means it's time for Tavern Talks at the Shifty Boar, where we discuss current things going on at D&D, other types of things as well. Answer any questions if people will have questions or want advice about being a dungeon master, helping to share my 40 years experience as a dungeon master for the world's greatest role-playing game, Dungeons and Dragons. We are discussing the Unearthed Arcana Playtest 7 of the Player's Handbook for the upcoming changes to the books that are going to be made next year for the 50th anniversary of D&D. Backwards compatible with 5th edition. Just trying a bunch of stuff back and forth. The feedback is up now. For the feedback surveys are out now, and they will be open until next Thursday, October 5th. We'll probably finish up with some of this next Wednesday for Tavern Talks, and then go through and fill out our review and our feedback for the playtest as well. Let's just get right into it. It's we've done the fighters and the barbarians earlier, and we're doing sorcerers. I think there's only fighters, barbarians, sorcerers, and wizards in this one. But we are on the sorcerer last week, where we stopped off, and that's where we're picking up again. Again, I have not read any of this beyond what we've already read on stream. I'm just reacting to it as I read it for the first time here on the stream. So we are on sorcerer again, primary charisma. Sorcerers don't learn magic. They're just basically magic is part of them. So let's see some designer note. The sorcerer updates. Innate sorcery empowers your spells, attack rolls, and save DCs for a limited time. Spellcasting returns to using the sorcerer spell list rather than the arcane spell list. Nice. So that would be really, really awesome if they're going to go back to that. That'd be great. It's not split them up into just 3 different spell lists instead of keeping them actually on the class list still. Sorcerer's Burst and Arcane Eruption, both of which appear in this document. Innate Sorcery, Spell Casting, Font of Magic, Meta Magic, blah, 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 all the extra stuff. More Font of Magic no longer requires a bonus action to convert spell slots into sorcery points. Ooh, that's interesting. That always used to be a bonus action. Meta Magic gives you 2 options at level 2 and 2 more level 10 and 17 each. You can now change one of your options whenever you get a sorcerer level. That's pretty interesting. That's pretty cool. Sorcerer subclass returns to the 2014 progression for Sorcerer subclass, exception of the level 1 feature being at level 3. Trying to keep it in line with the being able to backwards compatible, similar to how 3rd edition and 3.5 did have some backwards compatibility. Obviously, some of the stuff in 3.5 overwrote some of the stuff in 3rd edition, which is going to be similar to what this is going to do. But it's good that they're taking all the stuff back to the same levels as the sorcerer subclasses in the original Player's Handbook from 2014. That way, everything progresses as it normally does for the other subclasses that might not be updated. Things from like Xanathar's and from Tasha's. Source Vitality is gone. Source's Restoration has moved from 15th level to 5th. If you have no sorcery points when you roll initiative, that's a little powerful for 5th level. Should really be learning action economy. That's one of the things that is really good. Players that play sorcerers, that play them very well, are very mindful of the action economy, especially if you're going to give it to where there's no bonus action to divert spell slots anymore, and you're going to give them, if they're out of spell slots, you're going to give them spell slots when they roll initiative, or give them sorcery points, I should say, when they roll initiative at level 5, and they're not going to really learn action economy. Interesting. If you have no sorcery points when you roll initiative, this feature restores a certain number. Sorcerer Incarnate is moved from 9th level to 7th levels, redesigned to enhance innate sorcery, which is the 1st level ability. Arcane Hypothesis moved to 20th level and has been redesigned to enhance innate sorcery. So they're really, really digging into the innate sorcery setup there. I want to check something here. I'm going to pull up page. Started doing this last week and the week before last, but we're going to pull up the initial player's handbook on our D&D Beyond and walk through the changes that they're making, the differences here. So first level sorcerer begins with spellcasting sorcerer's origin. So innate sorcery is basically changing the sorcerer's origin, replacing that, it looks like. So an event in your past life or in your past left an indelible mark on you, infusing it with the simmering magic. As a bonus action, you can unleash that magic for 1 minute, during which you gain the following benefit. Spell save DC of your sorcerer spells increases by 1. You have advantage on attack rolls of sorcerer spells you cast. You can use this feature twice, and you regain all expended uses of it when you finish a long rest. It's cool. I like it, but I like the whole thing of tying things to your and of course these other features that they mentioned here, the sorcerer incarnate and arcane apotheosis might give you more uses of this feature, but at the same time it would be almost really nice to tie it to their proficiency modifier, because at first level your proficiency bonus is +2. So then when you get a +3, you can use it 3 times and all that. I like to see them do that a lot with like some of the fighter abilities, some of the barbarian abilities, etc. Basically like rage, tie rage to their proficiency bonus. They can rage a number of times equal to their proficiency bonus. A fighter can second wind a number of times equal to their proficiency bonus. Obviously, when one of these action surge in that manner. That way you can get rid of, you get them back after a short rest. Spell casting cantrips. So you use the sorcerer spell list in the for playtesting. That's another thing too. If you want to playtest this material, you can get it on the Wizards website at dnd.wizards.com. You can go to D&D Beyond to get this, or if you join our Master of Dungeons community Discord server, we do have all of them all in one nice little neat place. And you want to playtest them, download the PDFs, and then you can use the 2014 Player's Handbook to playtest them, just replacing any of the rules that are in this playtest material. Instead of the actual rules for those specific things in the Player's Handbook. But everything else uses the regular Player's Handbook from 5th edition. Spell slots, prepared spells. Fauna magic. Tap into the wellspring of magic within yourself to create sorcery points. You start with 2 sorcery points. Get more when you reach higher levels. You can never have more sorcery points than the numbers shown on the table for your level. You can also spend sorcery points when you finish a long rest. You spend a spell slot to create a number of sorcery points equal to the slot's level. So you expend a 5th level slot to create 5 sorcery points, and then in turn spend those 5 sorcery points to create a 3rd level spell slot. So that's interesting. It's just, you could always just cast a 5th level spell slot using one of your level 3 slot or one of your level 3 spells. It's kind of because you can always, regardless if the spell could be upcast or not, say you have no 1st level spell slots remaining, and you have a 1/3, a 4th, and 2 5th level spell slots. You can use any of those to cast that 1st level spell, even if you can't upcast it. I'm not sure if they put that feature into Baldur's Gate 3 or not. We'll find out tomorrow. We'll check it out for the Dungeon Delving stream tomorrow. Meta magic. 2, you got 2 at 2nd level, then you get 2 more at 10th level and 2 more at 17th level. I'd really like to see them also put the different, we'll get to that in a second, but I'd like to see them take these meta magic options and give them prerequisites at what levels you can actually cast and use them at. That way you have a lot of them to choose from. Hopefully there's more than 6 in here since you only get 6. Hopefully there's enough in here to choose from that you'd be able to have a good selection at 2nd level, 10th level, and 17th level, but some of them make them more powerful to where their prerequisite is you can only pick this one in particular at 17th level. Only use one meta magic option unless otherwise noted in one of those options. Again, specific means general. You can place one of them in your level. So in this one, they have aberrant sorcery, and so an aberrant sorcerer. They have a clockwork sorcerer, and they have a draconic sorcerer, and then wild magic sorcerer in here. Yeah, so I have 4th, 8th, 12th, 16th, and 19th. Sorcerer's Restoration. When you roll initiative or finish a short rest and have no sorcery points remaining, you regain a number of these points equal to your sorcerer level divided by 5. Round down. So when you roll initiative or finish a short rest and you have no sorcery points remaining, at 5th level, when you get this ability, you get 1 sorcery point. So that's not too bad. Sorcery Incarnate. While your innate sorcery feature is active, you can use up to 2 of your meta magic options on each spell you cast. So again, specific beating general. Down to the viewer, welcome in. In addition, if you have no uses of Incarnate Sorcery left, you can use it if you spend 2 sorcery points when you take the bonus action to activate it. So they're dropping where you can spend it, dropping the ability to convert sorcery points, like to convert spells or to spend a spell slot to get sorcery points, to no action, because it's a bonus action for your innate sorcery feature. Interesting. And level 20 Arcane Apotheosis. When your innate sorcery feature is active, you can use 1 meta magic option on each of your turns without spending sorcery points on it. That's cool, understandable. Let's check the abilities here. We'll go back to the meta magics here in a moment. Yeah, so there was initially no so you got your font of magic at 2nd level, then you got your meta magic options at 3rd initially, and then now they've added some extra ability things into in between there. And then your Sorceress Restoration is in place of the new one. The old Sorceress Restoration, what was that one? You regain 4 expended sorcery points whenever you finish a short rest. I can say just from the initial thing, I mean, like I said, the whole discussion of the ability here, innate sorcery, using it twice and all that stuff like that. I'd like to see it to where you can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus and regain all expended uses of it when you finish a long rest. Same thing with rage, because rage is pretty much fairly close with the number of rages you can get. So you could rage a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. And then you get all of it back when you finish a long rest. And then, of course, there's the specific rules that are set that are will trump the general rules. Okay, the options. Let's see here. Distance spell returns to doubling the range. Seeking spell now costs 1 point rather than 2. Subtle spell now clarifies that it doesn't remove material components that have a cost specified in the affected spell. And Twin Spell has some of its previous multi-targeted functionality, but now within appropriate limits. All right, so careful spell. When you cast a spell, it forces Other creatures make a saving throw. You can protect some of those creatures from the spell's full force. To do so, you spend a sorcery point and choose a number of creatures up to your charisma modifier. Chosen creature automatically succeeds on a saving throw against the spell, and it takes no damage if it would normally take half damage on the successful save. Very similar to the Evoker's ability. Distance spell, spend a sorcery point to double the spell's range if it has at least a range of 5 feet. You have a cast a spell that has a range of touch. You can expend 1 sorcery point to make the range of the spell 30 feet. Something important to keep in mind for DMs is that if it has a range of self, it won't change anything of the spell's range. Like if you have a self and it has like an aura, it doesn't extend any of that. It's just things that have a range of at least 5 feet or a spell that has a range of touch. Is the only way the distance spell can work. You roll a number of the damage dice up to your charisma modifier. You must use the new rolls. You can use Empower Spell even if you have already used a different metamagic option during the casting of the spell. So basically, you can use like Distance Spell and you roll your damage. If you don't like your damage, on like you roll a few ones and you want to re-roll those, you can spend a sorcery point to empower the spell as well. Almost prefer a different name. I mean, I know that was the same option that they had. Pardon me. In it's just pretty much the same as what it is right now in 5th edition as it stands. But even in the normal 5th edition, I wish they would have named it some other type of thing. When you empower a spell, I always view it as like being able to ignore resistance, because you've empowered the spell to get through, like you empowered a fire spell to get through fire resistance, not necessarily fire immunity, but fire resistance, um, something like that for empower spell. And then like rewind spell or something like that might be better for damage or something, something similar to that. I've always thought that'd be a better uh, name for this meta magic option. Extend spell. When you cast a spell, it's a duration of 1 minute or longer. You can spend 1 sorcery point to double its duration. So it just doubles the duration. Doesn't take it to, so if it's 1 minute, it goes 2 minutes. If it's 10 minutes, 20 minutes. If it's 8 hours, it's 16 hours. Like you can spend a sorcery point to extend spell on your mage armor to make it last 16 hours instead of 8 hours, which is great. It's good to use on like a fly spell as well. If you're in a big battle for hate, using haste is nice. Heightened spell. Sounds like I have a delivery. I got someone at my door downstairs. I'll be right back. All right, we're back. One of my neighbors needed to get into the building. So heightened spell gives them disadvantage on saves against the spell. One target. It's a little expensive for that, but okay. Especially considering you can, have advantage on your attack rolls for up to a minute, giving someone disadvantage on a saving throw for 2 points. I don't know. So yeah, quicken spell. It's really important too, because I always see players casting a spell and they want to quicken another spell. Uh, you always want to, again, for casting 2 spells, at least the way it is in 5th edition at the moment, is you have to cast a spell that has a casting time of bonus action. And then, if you want, you can cast a cantrip that just takes 1 action to cast. You can't cast a cantrip and then turn around and cast a bonus cantrip. I generally don't mind players, but I always remind them of it. Hey, keep that in mind, because same thing with quicken spell, for example. If you've already cast a spell first level or higher on your turn, you can't quicken another spell. Obviously, you can cast a cantrip, or can you cast a spell of level 1 or higher on this turn after modifying a spell in this way. So basically, you can't quicken a spell and cast it basically at the same time. Now you can quicken for 2 social points. You can quicken. It looks like you can quicken a cantrip, so you can quicken a spell to change it to a bonus action. But it would use you. It looks like you would use a bonus action the next turn to cast the quicken spell. So was that the same as it was before? Yes, that was not how it was before. So that I actually like as a change, because um, it makes players, again, like I said, with the action, but I guess it's an alternate way for them to look at the action economy. But it also slows down the sorcerer a little bit, because sometimes sorcerers can get pretty powerful with quicken spell and quickening high level spells and casting at the same turn, and then turning around and getting a cantrip off as well. And it's not extremely powerful, but at the same time, it makes it to where you can quicken a spell, but you can quicken and make it a bonus action. When you cast a spell, it has casting time and action. You spend 2 sorcery points to change that casting time to a bonus action for this casting. You can't cast a spell of first level hero on this turn after modifying a spell in this way. Okay, gotcha. So you can still cast it on the same turn. They're just clarifying it a little bit more, because a lot of players not can see that as well. Because a lot of players want to quicken a spell and then they want to cast another first level spell. So they're also clarifying there that you cannot cast more than 1 leveled spell a turn. Obviously, they changed that also with action surge for the fighters, so that fighters cannot, with the action surge, cannot use the magic action, which is basically casting a spell. I love transmuted spell. I always love that ability. So I did change twin spell a little bit there, it looks like. Sorry, my familiar woke up. She's just been fed. She's all right. So they kind of they did clarify that a little bit by saying that You cast a spell such as Charm Person or Hold Person that can be cast with a higher level spell slot to target an additional creature. You can spend one sorcery point to increase the spell's effective level by 1. So, say for example, you cast Charm Person, and then I don't know the wording of Charm Person right off the top of my head, but if you spend a second level spot, you can slot for your first level spell, you can target an additional one. So you spend a sorcery point to increase it to level 2. For a whole person, which is level 2, and you need to spend a level 4 slot to get 2 people, you would have to spend 2 sorcery points to get that spell level, basically, the whole person basically to a 4th level spell. Cool, cool. Draconic Sorcery. Okay, updates. We're doing this again today. Dragon Speech now gives you the Draconic language. I like that better. We talked about that, I think, in the previous Player's Handbook discussion, that just giving them the Draconic language is what they need to do. And while creatures of the dragon type understand your speech, you don't necessarily understand them. Cool? As long as you sprout wings without relying on a spell. Places Draconic Exaltation. Exhalation. Bonus action doesn't require concentration. All right. Draconic Sorcerer is just the basic sorcerer. Most subclasses, when the game first came out in 5th edition, were Draconic Sorcerers. Magic in your body manifests physical traits of your Draconic gift. Your hit point maximum increases by 3. It increases by 1 whenever you gain another sorcerer level. Parts of you are also covered by dragon-like scales. When you aren't wearing armor, your base armor class equals 10 plus your dex modifier plus your charisma modifier, which is really awesome with extending a mage armor spell. This is a little confusing too because they put charisma modifier to 1 damage roll of that spell. So, for example, magic missile. I just wanted to kind of change the wording around a little bit. Like, for example, magic missile used to be you have 3 missiles. Each one of them does a die 4 plus 1. You'd roll the 3 die 4, add 1 to each one of them, and you could put them where you want. Now, the way that they're having it done in 5th edition is you roll 1 die 4 plus 1, and every one of your missiles does that amount of damage, which is cool. So in that instance, for example, your charisma modifier would be added to every magic missile. For fireball, for example, fireball would roll 8 die 6, and instead you just add that charisma modifier to one of those die 6s. So as a bonus action, you sprout your wings and have a fly speed equal to your normal speed. They last until you dismiss them as a bonus action or have the incapacitated condition, like sleeping. So basically, you get up in the morning, use your bonus action, and just get your spectral wings out, and you can fly. Bonus action has 5 sorcery points to draw on this power and exude an aura of awe or fear of your choice within 60 feet. For 1 minute, or until you have the incapacitated condition, each creature of your choice that starts its turn in this aura must succeed on wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC, or have the charmed, if you choose awe, or frightened if you choose fear condition until the creature is outside the aura. Pretty standard, pretty cool. I'm not sure if the dragon wing, I think the dragon wing ability only lasted for a minute or 10 minutes, something like that. Nope, it's the same thing. They last until you dismiss them. Now they made it to where they could be spectral as well, so you don't have to actually. They don't have to be physical dragon wings. They can just be spectral dragon wings. And pretty much the same thing for Draconic Presence. It's just basically back, which is cool. Wild Magic Sorcery. Wild Magic Surge no longer requires DM permission. Oh, great. Tides of Chaos is now guaranteed to give you a roll in the Wild Magic Surge table. Bend Luck now costs 1 sorcery point instead of 2. Wild Bombardment, formerly Spell Bombardment, now allows you to use a Wild Magic Surge effect that casts a spell or that replenishes your expended sorcery points. Okay, so it is using the same Magic Surge for the player's handbook. We do have that here on our channel, by the way, on twitch.tv/the Master of Dungeons for our live play games. We have our channel points, which are gold pieces. You should see the little, as you start following, you should be able to see the little dragon coin at the bottom of the chat. If you save up enough points, you can actually cause a wild surge on the next spell that's cast. So that can affect the monsters, can affect the players. So you can use Tides of Chaos to give yourself advantage on 1d20 tests. Once you do so, you must finish a long rest before you can use it again. However, immediately after you cast a sorcerer spell with a spell slot, before you regain this after the long rest, you automatically roll on the Wild Magic Surge table and regain the use of this feature, which is pretty fun. I can't really say anything's really horrible about Wild Magic Sorcerers. They're just hilarious and awesome to have in parties. Been luck. It sounds like for this to go up, like it starts off as a die 4, then eventually becomes a die 6, then maybe a die 8. I love the controlled chaos. You have to cast a sorcerer spell with spell slot. You can create an effect of your choice from a Wild Magic Surge table. Provided the effect casts a spell or restores all your expended sorcery points. I don't like the whole 1d4 long rests. Should just be one long rest. Sorry, I need to trim my mustache again. All right, that was a sorcerer. Pretty cool. Don't really have any complaints about it. They didn't have the other sorcerers in here. They didn't. I thought they were going to put the subclasses for. I guess they just they didn't redo the. They're just keeping the same for Aberrant and Clockwork from Tasha's. So okay, cool. But they're going to put those obviously in the new books, so they don't have to necessarily have Tasha's to have access to them. All right, Warlock. I know that they had talked about bringing Pack Magic back, which is awesome because Pack Magic needs to stay with the Warlock. That's what makes the Warlock so cool. Obviously, there's not going to be able to be abused as much as for Paladins, as you discovered early on that you could use your Paladin's Divine Smites, which they don't have anymore. You could use your Paladin Divine Smites and use your Warlock spell slots. And of course, after you finish long rest, you get all your Warlock spell slots back. And your Warlock spell slots are always at a certain level. So if you're a level 5 Warlock, I think all your spell level slots are level 3. It might be down to your fifth level. Yeah, all your warlock spell slots were level 3, so you'd have two of them. And then basically, as a paladin, you could because you could use your paladin spell levels to cast your warlock spells as well. So you wouldn't necessarily have to use a warlock spell slot to cast a first level hex. You could use a paladin slot for that, and then you could turn around and use your divine smite to spend a warlock spell slot for a 4d8 divine smite, and then finish a short rest, and you get that warlock spell slot back. Armor training entry returns to include only light armor. Pact magic returns. Yeah. Eldritch Invocations moves to level 1 and at level 20 you have 10 invocations rather than 8. Yeah, see, that was the big thing. As I mentioned before, the whole concept of the Mystic Arcanum, when we first reviewed, was the whole idea was that you would not be able to get any of the Mystic Arcanums unless you spent every one of your Eldritch Invocations on those uh, Arcanums to be able to get them. Give her, just let her cry today. She's gonna eventually crawl up into a one of her baskets and fall asleep. I don't know why. I think it's because normally we used to have these streams at 6 p.m. on Tuesdays and 7 p.m. on Wednesdays. Now we've switched all of our streams to 2 p.m. Uh, I think it's just messing with her a little bit. I don't know. She can't hear, so I have no idea why she's being so needy the past couple of days. Pack Boon is integrated into the Eldritch Invocations feature. Over time, you're now able to choose more than one of the former Pack Boon options. Magic Cunning is a new level 2 feature that allows a warlock to quickly regain a certain number of spell slots. Contact Patron moves to level 9. Mystic Arcanum returns to be a core feature. Now allows you to replace one of its spells whenever you get a level in this class. Hexmaster is gone. Eldritch Master returns to 20 at level 20. All right, let's go to D&D Beyond and pull up our Warlock. And compare. So Eldritch Invocations is now level 1 instead of level 2, which is cool. Like, see how I was talking about earlier about the sorcerers and the metamagic feats, the metamagic options. Um, Creating a couple more metamagic options, like maybe 4 or 5 of them, and set them at level requisites, very similar to how they have warlock invocations. Pack magic works the same way it does right now. And yes, it does look as if they're going to be going back to specific spell lists for the classes, which is amazing. I love it. Definitely made it a little bit more confusing for newer players. So use the Warlock spell list for Xanathar's, Tasha's, and Player's Handbook, and then also add Bane, Detect Magic, and Speak with Animals. Get all expended pack magic slots when you finish a short rest, like normal. Magical cutting. All of your packed magic spell slots are when they're all expended. You perform an esoteric rite for 1 minute, at the end of which you can regain half those spell slots rounded up. Once you use this feature, you can't do so until you finish a long rest. So basically, you can use a minute instead of taking a long rest or short rest to get all your slots back. You can spend a minute to get half of them back. The little ritual rite thing. Celestial Fiend Patron, Archfey Patron, Great Old One Patron. Celestial Patron probably going to refer to going through, unless they're redoing it here, probably just refer you back to Xanathars. As Archfey, Fiend, and Great Old One are in the player's handbook, which means that they've changed them around a little bit as well. ASI at 4, 8, 12, 16, and 19. Contact Patron. That's interesting, but I don't like it as a class feature because of the fact that if you're playing a homebrew game, you're playing, whether it be, it's an adventure you've written yourself or running a hardcover, uh, your patron has to do with the DM and how they're running the story and all stuff like that. Giving them just an ability to allow contact of the plane to contact their patron directly, uh, I don't think is something that a warlock needs as a class ability. Just because it's like, that's most of that's all story driven anyway. That has to do with the agreement between the DM and the player, and used as a story element from the DM. So putting it as a class ability does not seem to be needed in any way. Should definitely replace this with something else. Yep, I love Mystic Arcane going back to a class feature. And I don't like this. It's not powerful enough. Because your magical cunning, you only get half your spell slots back and you can only use it once. You can't, and you have to finish a long rest. That level 20 is not very powerful, not powerful enough for a capstone ability. Let's check the old one. So they just basically, yeah. So I guess the old one. I've never played up to a 20th level warlock. Most of my warlocks are multi-classed with other classes. Yeah, I don't think even the old version was fairly weak capstone. Spending the old one was basically you spend a minute entreating your patron for age, getting all your expended spell slots from your packed magic feature. Obviously, you don't get your Mystic Arcanums back. Um, a better thing to do that is that you can spend at 20th level when you use your magic cunning. You also not only get all your spell slots back, but you also get all of any expended mystical arcanum uses. Because there are so many things like a wizard. You walk around with a wizard and have shoot 3 9th level spell slots. I think if you have like the boon of higher magic where you get an extra 9th level spell slot, you have one from being 17th or higher level wizard, and then you have the tome of the stilled tongue. You can have three access to three 9th level spell slots, so allowing a 20th level warlock to use this minute ritual to get back all their mystic arcanums. That's not that powerful at all. That should be what the 20th level capstone is for the warlock. Because a warlock cannot benefit from a tome of the stilled tongue because for one, it's a wizard's. I think it's only attuned to wizards, but they don't have 9th level spell slots. they have a 17th level Mystic Arcanum that gives them one 9th level spell that they can cast once a day, but they do not have an actual 9th level spell slot. All right, some notes on the invocation updates. So here are the changes since they appeared in Player's Handbook Playtest 5. Items will last now unless you choose which warlock cantrip benefits from the invocation. I can see that. It's not that big of a deal. I mean, the whole reason why it's called Agonizing Blast is because they apply to your Eldritch Blast. Senate step now requires level 5 or higher rather than level 9 or higher. These speech is gone now since Speak with Animals is now a Warlock spell list and can be cast as a ritual. I can see that. It's cool. Civil Sight now works in dim light as well as in darkness. That's good that they clarify that. It's always been a thing where it's been just assumed that, you know, you have dim light. There's mine also obviously imported from Tasha's. Oh, I don't like. I definitely. I can see the beast speech being gone, but I'm not a fan of Eldritch Sight being gone because that was the beauty of Eldritch Sight was that you never had to like detect magic. A ritual spell takes 10 minutes to cast, and with Eldritch Sight, you can automatically detect magic. So I don't know. I loved Eldritch Sight. I'm not a big fan of that being gone. Now they're bringing back. They're allowing warlocks to still Eldritch Smite, but they're not allowing paladins to Divine Smite. Hmm. See, I like that they added like speak with animals. I like that they added comprehend languages. Like they've added these things. I don't think they should take them away as uh, invocations though, because that was the whole question. It was always the question of, well, if they can't cast detect magic, but they can see magic with their Eldritch Smite, okay, or with their Eldritch Sight, okay, that's cool. I don't see the reason to take away those invocations even though they added the spells to the spell list, it's more sense that they add the spells to the spell list to say, okay, you have Eldritch Sight because you can cast detect magic. And you're also choosing to take Eldritch Sight over a different invocation. This I completely understand because basically, if character casting is to say can cast it at will, or basically still cast it as an action or whatever. They just cast it until they got the maximum hit points for it. And now it's just easier to say, okay, you automatically get the max hit points for it. Since most DMs, and I did, me being one, would kind of hand wave that and say, okay, well, you can cast it when you want, so you can go ahead and take the maximum from it. That's cool. I like the gaze of two minds changing to any willing creature, not just humanoids. Now, how you can find out if something's willing or not if they can't speak to you, that's another story. That's another fun thing to play out in the game. Level 5 rather than level 15. Level 2 instead of level 9. Pact of the Blade, Pact of the Chain, and Pact of the Tome are now invocations. Again, messing with things that don't need to be messed with. I also really think that Toll the Dead needs to be a warlock. Should be a warlock cantrip as well. I mean, that just fits with the warlock so much. Um, there's so much there. Mage armor and stuff without spending spell slot. So they kept the mage armor there, and I don't think warlocks couldn't have mage armor on their lists from their old list. I don't believe. See what I mean? You could still, if you're a Pact of the Blade warlock, you can pick up Eldritch Smite at 5th level. You can basically smite like a paladin would, but again, you can only do it once per turn. If they just changed that back to the way it was in the earlier things for paladin instead of what they did in the playtest 6. Hope Spear, warlock cantrip that deals damage and has a range of at least 10 feet. And creature's range her feet equal 30 times your warlock level. Ooh. Yeah. This is really fun too. The Gaze of Two Minds is really fun for dungeon crawls and things like that. Bunch of added things for investment. The Chain Master. You can take less as the first one multiple times. I'll just take 1 feat of your choice. You can have a world that's insane. So if you wanted to forego some of the other ones, you can just take lessons of the first ones, and you can have up to 10 uh, invocations now. So you can go through and pick up like alert, skilled, tough, all of these different things, in addition to your normal uh, features, which means that you could also uh, take ASIs that would improve your the ability score and ability score increase feat. Kind of might have been a mistake on that one. That I guarantee is not going to stay the way it is. Type drinker, masculine faces, sky self, alter self. Obviously, when you get to 5th level, you want to take Mask of Many Faces and replace it with Master of Myriad Forms. Not a fan. Again, not a fan of them making the different packs into Eldritch Invocations, because it doesn't say anything. It doesn't look like looks like you pick up every single pack. If you wanted to use your Eldritch Invocation on selecting that pack, you can get that pack. So you can have all 3 packs if you want now, the way that they have the Warlock. Ugh. Headaches, headaches, headaches. Because this prerequisite, the only Pact of the Tome is prerequisite none. So you can take that at first level since you get an invocation now. Then Pact of the Chain and Pact of the Blade. Pact of the Blade you can take at first level if you wanted to as well, which is not that horrible. But the whole concept that they are packs, the packs are now invocations. You can actually pick up all 3 packs now. Repelling Blast. See how they put Repelling Blast as just Eldritch Blast as well, but they didn't. The other ones they changed to any cantrip. I love Witch Sight. I've always loved Witch Sight. I don't know if the range of 30 feet should be you have True Sight with the range of your normal vision. But I guess I don't know, that'd be really difficult to figure out. Because like dark vision, people without dark vision, what is the range of their visions? Yeah, so Arcane Eye without expending a spell slot. Ooh. All right. Well, we're at the top of the hour. We're going to end that here today for the stream. We're going to be on page 31 next week to discuss the Warlock subclasses. And then we'll go through some of the changes to the glossary and the spell lists and such like that as well. Should be able to get through all of them next week. But thanks, of course, to all our supporters, especially our patrons from Patreon. If you'd like to help support the channel, please consider becoming a patron. We're subbing here on Twitch, twitch.tv/themasterofdungeons. We love Prime subs as well. Hook your Amazon Prime up to your Twitch account, and you get a free sub every month. We do have a sub reminder, a Prime sub reminder up on our streams. It's a little box that you can see when you scroll over the stream that pops up there on the left or the right-hand side of the screen. It's also September for the rest of this week, all of the month September, and the rest of this week, of course, as well. You get 25% off 1 month and 3 month subs, 30% off 6 month subs, and starting this whole week, you get 25% off gift subs as well. Of course, the link to our Patreon page, as well as our YouTube channel and all of our other social media accounts, can be found in the About Us section below here on Twitch. Subscribe to us on YouTube if you would. It's free. Like and comment on the videos. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Give us some likes, retweets, all of that good stuff. Every sub, like, and share helps us immensely. You can also support the channel by clicking on the About Us section below, and then click on the Discord panel to join the Master of Dungeons community Discord server, where you can help shape an accepting, caring, and inclusive community. Our merch store is open. We have t-shirts. There's a hoodie, a couple of ball caps, some glassware as well. Definitely check out the merch store. Picking some of that up will definitely help support the channel. We will be back tomorrow from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern for our dungeon delving streams, which is playing Baldur's Gate 3. And of course, we will be back on Sunday at 7 p.m. for our episode 2 of Phandelver Below the Shattered Obelisk. Thanks for checking us out today. Hope to see you tomorrow. And as always, happy adventuring. Take care.